Finally, this month, Tarkov's most hated map is expected to be getting a full overhaul.
And gameplay overhaul for Lighthouse. So basically, Lighthouse, it's not a good position right now. I think it's the most hated location right now. We really plan to make Lighthouse better, and it will be in June patch.
We heard this on Tarkov TV in May, so it was very recent. It's not as if this is some old information. But just as I was about to record this, because Nikita has put some pictures up and some teasers that we will go through in a bit more detail a little bit later, as I was literally about to record this video, BSG dropped the Dev Talks number 4, including Sergey Demontovich, who is one of their leading game designers, and he has actually released a load of information about the Lighthouse rework that we have not heard up until now. Now this update is pretty short, so I'm just going to take you through it because it's got some really important information in it about what's coming for Lighthouse. So hello everyone, my name is Sergey Demontovich. I'm the design manager on Escape from Tarkov. Today I'll be voicing questions and comments from the community. So people asked, are you planning any changes to Lighthouse? And he said, we are, and they're going to be pretty major. The main change is that the rogue spawns will move from the water treatment plant to the chalets. This is an absolutely huge change, and just changes the entirety of the way that the map is going to flow. About this, he says, the treatment plant will become a no man's land, grim cratered terrain where scavs will hang out, and the chalets, on the other hand, will be reinforced. There will be fortifications and observation posts there. UN roadblocks will appear along the highway with tall concrete walls. Overall, it's going to be awesome. So this is fundamentally going to change the way that Lighthouse plays entirely. At the moment, Lighthouse goes from south to north, depending on which map you look at. The lighthouse itself is supposed to be in the south of the map, so the map goes south to north in a very sort of thin strip. And with the water treatment facility, the focus of the map, everybody has to move in that direction pretty much. Not always, but pretty much. Which means that also, because it's so narrow, the spawns all have to be in a big long line. And they've done some work to try and address that by adding some spawns up in the train station, but they're really hamstrung by just the nature of the map itself. And the fact that there's only really 3 lanes at the southernmost end. You either go along the beach, you go through the road, or you go up by the chalets, and 2 of those 3 are no cover and result in instant death if somebody is actually watching. If they're not watching, then it's okay, but if somebody is, then you basically just die. And a lot of this ended up resulting with the emergent gameplay being that people just kind of sat in their spawn and waited for people to walk past them, which was pretty bad. So I'm looking forward to this change. I think this will be really cool to change the way that chalets are so that they're more fortified. They're the focus of the map instead of the water treatment facility itself. It'll allow the map to be more round, and I hope they can just add a bit more space around that center of the map so you can come at it from a few different areas. They've got loads of mountainous terrain that they could kind of rework so that you can actually move around those kind of areas, because otherwise it's still going to be pretty limited in scope. But I'm pretty sure they're going to do a quite radical overhaul based on what they're saying here. Now, there's a few other bits and pieces that he's talked about the assessment part 1 becoming harder. This is the quest where for Lightkeeper, you have to kill players basically underneath the water treatment facility. It has to be kind of around like that sunken village area and south of that. And he said, yeah, well, we know about that, but the issue goes beyond just that one quest. So the entire quest line for gaining access to Lightkeeper has already been reviewed and will be revamped, and it'll come with the Lighthouse rework, which is great because I really got sick of the Lightkeeper quest line, to be honest. You just get forced into Lighthouse over and over again, and if the quest line is better and the map is better, then that could end up being really, really sick. The only other thing that I want to point out here, there's quite a few other bits and pieces about the hideout, but I'm going to let you go and look at that in your own time because it's not really relevant to Lighthouse. This one's really cool, actually. Will any new factions be added? For example, are UF troops neutral to bear, like rogues are to the USEC? And he basically said, our work at the moment is focusing on the existing factions, so we're changing rogue behavior logic so that they're more sensible. But in an upcoming update, we will introduce the UN faction that will be neutral towards bears and USECs while aggressively attacking scavs. And of course, if you kill UN troops as a PMC, you'll lose reputation with Peacekeeper. So this is interesting because we've been talking about potentially adding UN and RUAF to the game for a really, really long time. We ended up seeing effectively RUAF around Terminal, and then adding UN somewhere on the map, we don't know where yet, somewhere, is really neat because I, to be honest, kind of didn't think that we'd ever see that at this point. So back to Nikita just for a moment. I'm super glad that they have decided to actually go through with this. We had a poll a really long time ago now about which maps players wanted to see revamped, and Lighthouse came at the top. I think it was worded Lighthouse Expansion, but that's pretty much players voting for it to be reworked or changed in some particular fashion. So I am pleased that they have got on it and done it, because it was also very strange. Not that long ago, they released a written dev diary type thing where they said, well, we're looking at making some changes. This is when they made the changes to the spawns to our players to spawn up in the train station, and they said, well, we're not really looking at changing the map soon because it's going to be a lot of work. So presumably they changed their mind to try to stop this map being such a hated one, because it is like the most like vilified map in the entire game, to be honest. Super pleased that they're looking at it, and Nikita has dropped a couple of pictures that we can have a look at now in Raid and go and see what's different about them versus how it is currently. Okay, so here's our first clip. This is the one that's probably the most subtle, I would say. This is the one that is the southernmost one. So you can see tunnel is here and the path to shoreline is down there. And here, it doesn't actually look like there's that much different. At the bottom of the picture, you can see that there's this bus here. That hasn't changed. You've also got this car here with the marking on it, which is exactly the same. We've got the cement mixer there, which is the same. We've even got this little box here that's also the same. There is a little kind of like circular concrete thing, which is missing from there. And there's also like a wooden path that goes off. So maybe there's another POI like down here or something. A little bit more of a scav interest area. We've still got this guy here. But the most important part of this one is when you look a little bit further down the road. So we've got the bus here that we can see. And at the moment, there's this kind of crane kind of device thing, which is not there in the final picture. This truck still is there, but there's another one which is by this barricade. But if you keep looking further, there's actually some kind of like Connex container storage type stuff after the bus that isn't in existence at the moment on this particular version of Lighthouse. And so that is going to be where some of these like big barricades start. You can actually see some of the vertical concrete barricades along the edge of the wall. So that means you're going to be able to kind of path through the center of the map more easily than you would have been able to before. I mean, look at it right now. Like, this is just insane, right? There's just no way that you can go here. If anyone's up there, or if anybody's up there, you just immediately die. So having some more stuff here is going to help. And also the fact that this is going to be an area where the rogues spawn, as well as down here, means that this area is going to be a lot more interesting than it was previously. If we keep going further, we'll just run down the road and I will show you where the next picture begins. So this is the section that we just looked at, but from the other end of the road. And you can see here some of the lampposts kind of match up. This is the piece over the road, the kind of signage hanging, which now says USEC in the picture. And we've also got the lampposts on either side. You can see that up on this right-hand side as well, this is where there is already a camp up there, but you can see there's a little bit more of a well-formed one. It's got like a camo net over the top, but now we're going to have these huge concrete walls all the way around the outside edge and some little connexes to kind of sit in and navigate through the map. So this is going to be one of the main focuses and going to stop you from getting shot from the chalets up here and the chalets down there if you're moving through the road. Now we're going to move up to here. We can just see this little camp up there, but they've given us a better picture of, we believe, what is going to be this one. We'll show you that right now. So ever since the storyline was introduced, they have added a little camp here, but this one should be getting quite a significant expansion. It is looking a lot more well-formed than this. This looks pretty much just like, you know, Jaeger sat in a random tent with one of his buddies and a guitar and his dog, and that's about it. But the new version is going to be a lot more extensive and potentially even extend further. We've only seen one particular screenshot of that. It does look like it's going to be this area up here, but we'll have to see. I imagine a lot of these areas on the map have changed. The POIs have changed significantly on this, rather than a lot of this space just kind of being empty. Kind of reminds me of the old woods, actually, where just a lot of woods didn't have anything in it. And now they've added lots of pieces like, you know, Emicon Medical Base and a few others, so that the whole map's interesting, not just one or two places. The next one is a little bonus one. This one was not part of the kind of main cash drop of pictures that Nikita gave us, but I'll show it to you anyway, because it's kind of interesting, and it is one of the ones in chalets. So this next picture is coming away from Lower Chalet. I don't know exactly how they're going to be fortified, whether they're going to be that different. My gut instinct is that this one is not going to be as fortified as the Upper Chalet, to be honest. Just kind of based on where the positioning of that is, and also the screenshot over here, because this one is presumably a scav screenshot. I don't know if that's a rogue there. It kind of looks like there's a little rogue in the picture, but this is this building up here, and to be honest, it doesn't look like there's that much different there. This maybe is, as I said, more of a cinematic shot rather than anything else, but here you can see this is where this particular picture is that Nikita sent us. And then we'll find the last one, which is down in the rogue camp itself. So this picture is building 1. It says 1 on it. For those of you who forget, it goes 1, 2, 3 from the west side building to the north building to the east building. And if we climb up this one, we can see one fairly interesting feature of this picture, actually, which is explained by what Sergey was talking about a minute ago on that short that VSG have done. So up here, anybody who's played Lighthouse even a little bit will know that one of the rogues spawns up on this particular wall here with this mounted gun. And you do have to take him out if you want to walk anywhere around here, otherwise he is going to nail you. But we can see in the picture that this mounted gun is gone, which makes sense because now we know, as of literally an hour ago, that they're going to move the rogue from here over to the chalets. And so a lot of these gun turrets I think are probably going to just not be there anymore. We can still see the other buildings over here, but there's not too many other changes, I don't think. If we look down, like remotely looks very similar to how it did before. They've probably got a few other changes coming as well, but at least for now, it just looks like the focus is deprioritizing water treatment and moving it over to the chalets. So now we know the broad shape of what's coming with the Lighthouse rework. We're going to have to wait and see it actually get implemented to understand exactly how the new map flows and the various features and potentially even bugs or little quirks, as always is the case with BSG's map design. And I will say it's one of those things which is a double-edged sword with BSG, because their map design is some of the best in the gaming community. However, because of their design philosophy, it often means that they end up getting stuck with particular details because they make their maps realistic rather than necessarily balanced, and then have to try and balance them later. It can lead to trouble. I remember when Elvis Vista posted up on Twitter a whole series of pictures which was basically about the Lighthouse Inspiration, which is a real place, and they actually went and they took the pictures and modeled it all as it is in real life. And that's the reason why the Tarkov maps, they have such soul to them, because they're not designed to look at map flow A, B, C, whatever. But then once you've played on them for 100 hours or something, then the issues with that kind of approach often then comes to the fore, unfortunately. So hopefully this is going to repair a lot of the damage that Lighthouse has inflicted upon the community and my own personal mental health, which is significant, and we can all move on with our lives and actually enjoy our time on that map. Just be thankful that this suggestion from Tarkov Basement Guy didn't make the cut. One extra thing that I'd like to look at, because it is related to Lighthouse and transits and that kind of thing, is some of the extra transparency that we're seeing out of BSG in terms of the development process. And they have done a much better job of this over the last couple of years than they have done previously. And Sergey, our man, who we were just talking about a moment ago, wrote this thread, which is an interesting one about their thought processes around shoreline and transits in general, which is obviously more relevant to the Icebreaker, but he talks about Lighthouse in here too, saying, honestly, I'm not thrilled about shoreline turning into a transit hub either, but each one has a solid lore and narrative reason behind it. Labyrinth is literally under the sanatorium, which is shoreline. There's nowhere else to put it without a major location and narrative rework. It's just not worth it. The terminal entrance is right there by shoreline too, so no real alternative. And for Icebreaker, the only other option would have been Lighthouse. Trust me, you'd like that even less. That said, for Icebreaker, we're planning to move the transition zone so it stops being such a death trap, and also looking into alternative transition zones to Icebreaker from other locations once they're more ready for it. So Lighthouse, right? Light bulb and a house there, so presumably there's going to be an Icebreaker transit from Lighthouse coming at some point, but after the rework. That would make sense. As for the other locations mentioned earlier, we're considering adding direct access to them from the location selection screen, similar to how Icebreaker works now. Always happy to read your feedback. And I think these guys are doing a great job, actually. You see a lot of BSG people posting more regularly on social media at the moment, especially on Twitter, on X. And so this is great. There was also a follow-up post here, which is after the little update that they made, saying, look at this, dude, you can transit from both sides now. Near the tires, which is down here, so this is Shoreline Pier. You got tired of AGS and snipers, or from the other side if you enjoy a little extra spice during transits. They've brought the hovercraft to get to the Icebreaker a lot closer to the actual shoreline itself. This will help a little bit. This means you can actually smoke it out from the shore rather than having to run along the pier and then try to thread the needle of the smoke grenade onto the actual pier. It's just very difficult to get enough smoke cover. So this is a big, big improvement. So look, I'm really looking forward to this Lighthouse update because I just detest playing them out. I play it as little as I can, and it's really, really painful. That will also help with the storyline too, and getting access to Lightkeeper. The one thing that I really hope that they look at some point is trying to bring some more stuff onto Lightkeeper himself. It would be awesome if some of these endgame items that you could get don't just unlock with him using quests and then are on Ragman as a barter or something, but you actually have to go into raid to go and fetch them from him, because that would just add some kind of friction for really high-end items, and it then allows you to balance them a lot more easily than just one per reset in the hideout using expensive items, for example, because you've actually got to go and put in the legwork to go get it. Yes, maybe that would turn out to be a little bit boring or something, but at least it would be a bit more interesting. Some mechanic like that, there's surely got to be a way to make it work. So the Lighthouse rework should be close. I expect we'll be seeing it within this particular month. Enjoy the map in its current state until then. As always, a big shout out to all my patrons, and as usual, have fun in your raids.